So the background to these ayat is about a claim or a concern that some of the people of book raised, which is how come that the Muslim who used to face Baitul Maqdis for their Qibla when they were in Mecca, how come they just after 18 months turn away from it towards Kaaba? What is it all about? See, if it was from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they can't change it. How could Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala change his ruling? Either he made a mistake the first time or the second time. Either that was wrong or this one wrong. So this caused them a bit of a confusion. They raised this concern. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he adopted in Makkah the way which is different to the pagans of Makkah, mushrikun. He would follow the people of book more so when there was no clear guidance on any of those issues. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Makkah was supposed to follow Baitul Maqdis, but the way he would do is that he would pray between Rukn Yamani and Hajar Aswad. So if you've been to Makkah, you know that down south, the Rukn, the Yamani corner, and then Hajar Aswad in between that, where you say Rabbana atina fid dunya hasana. If you stand here, then Medina is up north, and further up is Syria, Sham, Al-Aqsa. So if you stand here, you can face Kaaba plus Masjid al-Aqsa. So you got both in line. So you're quite happy. When Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam migrated from Makkah to Medina, so he's now in front of Kaaba towards Masjid al-Aqsa. Now his position would remain the same, except that his face is towards Masjid al-Aqsa, back towards Kaaba. Because he has now come from this Kaaba and Masjid al-Aqsa in between Medina. So now I'm here, what would happen? My face remains the same, my back towards Kaaba. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did that for 18 months, but he would keep looking up every so often, hoping to get the Qibla, Kaaba, which was originally the Qibla, but then changed because Kaaba was the first house built by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. 40 years later, again at the hand of Ibrahim alayhi salam and the son, Ismail alayhi salam built Kaaba. 40 years later, Ibrahim alayhi salam and the son, Ishaq alayhi salam built Masjid al-Aqsa. Traditionally, it was Kaaba, then subsequently there were some changes and there were some issues. And finally, Masjid al-Aqsa became the center of all the prophets. Prophet after prophets all came in that piece of land, as you know from Israelites. A blessed place, Allah says, Allati barakna hawla. The surrounding of that is very much honored and blessed. So, but when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam came to Medina, he would every so often look up, hoping that Allah would shift it towards Qibla, which is Kaaba, original Qibla. And it so happened that finally Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave the revelation, قَدْ نَرَى تَقَلُّبَ وَجْهِكَ فِي السَّمَاءِ. This would come in the first juz. We're nearly about a quarter, 3/4. We've done a quarter away from the second juz, and that's when we will start. Where the second juz starts, سَيَقُولُ السُّفَهَاءُ مِنَ النَّاسِ مَا وَلَّاهُمْ عَنْ قِبْلَتِهِمُ الَّتِي. That's where all of this would be discussed in detail. But so that's what happened. So they had, and similarly, there were other injunctions. At one time, something has been obligatory and became a little bit relaxed. You can do this, and then subsequently it's been changed. This is called abrogation. In Arabic, we call it nasakh. Nasakh. So there has been certain nasakh happen in Quran. And so they just raised this as a concern. So how could that be? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to explain that. And by doing so, they were creating doubts in the mind of people. Because it's quite appealing to say, if it is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how could things be different? Allah gave a clear instruction. How could that be? Because if you don't understand what abrogation is, then you won't understand the detail. It's all nuanced. So firstly, what is nasakh? It literally means two things. Nasakh means to write. The khat, the writing. It's called khat nasakh. You heard about it. Yeah? Nasakh means actually to write. And abolish as well. That's another meaning. That's which is meant here. So this is what it is meant. So Allah says that whenever we do this this abrogation, we bring something similar or better than that. And there's wisdom behind it. We come to that in a minute. So with regards to man-made law, it is obviously a weakness. They would come up with something and they would see the situation and they would change it and keep changing it according to the need of the time or realization of the fact that we did it wrong the first time. But when it comes to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is not the case. He knows the future, He knows everything. So why would He do that? There are wisdoms behind it. And we'll tackle that in a second. The simple thing is, it's all dependent on the people. Are you mature enough to know all of that? Are you good enough to know that I can deal with this? Certain rules that you make within your own house when the kids were young were different than what they are 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. And as they become adult, then rules completely different. Depending on how much they can take, what they could take at the age of 5 months or 6 months a year, obviously they're much different. This is all down to the maturity. So a wise person would always change according to the need of the people so they can adapt to it, they can understand it better. And on top of it, there's an analogy with that. A physician, for example, he would know what is the actual treatment for the condition you have. But many a time we have to give you something else initially because your body would not be able to accept or tolerate the dose. We build it up. We build it up to the point, so if you needed to give me that, why you have been giving me this for that long period? No, it's because if you didn't have the first induction phase, the initial dose, then your body would not have been adapted to the maintenance dose, which is different dose, which is different medicine. You always do that in order to get one problem out and get the proper medication subsequently. It's a sign of maturity. With Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knowing what is best, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would give you things. And on top of that, there is the trial. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would not make everything so clear cut that you would not be tested. How could you have, if you all had revelation directly from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Imagine we woke up and we all had Quran and Hadith book next to us with all the rules written there, a manual with everything, step by step. Do you think there'll be any problem with anyone, any test? Is that it's like having a book while writing the paper, and you have unlimited time to keep checking it. In fact, you get a mobile phone with all the apps in it. It's still in the paper. You can Google that question and write the answer. Is that a test? Obviously not. Remember, this is all tests that we are being tested in this world. And tests dictate that there has to be information given and some left for you to infer. A lot of that test is dependent on how much you trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There has to be a lot of trust. Now that we know this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me 20 reasons for 20 different problems, the 25th or 28th, I do not need. I need to just trust that. I would just be with that. Because if everything was 100% clear to you and no doubt, why would people not accept it? The idea is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wouldn't want to force you to become Muslim. It's your choice. It would be unfair because we, as you know, while we were created, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala presented this as a case for all the creation. إِنَّا أَرَضْنَا الْأَمَانَةَ عَلَى السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَالْجِبَالِ فَأَبَيْنَ أَن يَحْمِلْنَهَا وَأَشْفَقْنَ مِنْهَا وَحَمَلَهَا الْإِنسَانُ. That we presented this case. Do you want to take this responsibility of being vicegerent, the best of the creation from among the creation? Heavens, refused. Mountains refused. Earth refused. From among the creation, men said, I want to do it. Have that zeal, hopefully trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but also overconfidence maybe. That's why Allah said, Inna kana zaluman jahula. Someone is a zalim, he doesn't know what he should be doing, but anyway he took it. So this is the challenge that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala offered, and we took it. Because the challenge was to prove to Shaitan that you are the best creation. And obviously, all the pious men prove that. All the prophets, all the Siddiqun, Sahaba, all the martyrs, they all proven it time and again. And they continue to be the case. But Shaitan, on one hand, is trying his best because his challenge is to make sure that man does not get successful. Because he wanted to prove, Ya Allah, man is not worthy of giving this title of being the Ashraf al-Makhluq, the best of the creation, the vicegerent of Allah, the Khalifa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No, not at all. Allah says, no, let's just get a test. Let people do. So Shaitan, Iblis has got his way of dealing with it. He's just trying to confuse people. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given people enough guidance, but obviously there has to be certain things that people have to work hard for. And that might be whether it appeals to you or not, but it is quite common. Very simple understanding that Allah said that whatever, we'll come to the ayat in a minute, we do it for wisdom. That's up to us. And since you know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows everything, since you know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is wise, since you know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has got planned many things, it behoves that you trust Him. There has to be a level of trust. And that's not the only thing you, if that's the sticking point, all the rest you understood, then maybe that's only one of the simple matters. Anyway, let's go for the first ayah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, مَا نَنسَخْ مِنْ آيَةٍ أَوْ نُنْسِهَا أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ما ننسخ من آية أو ننسها not آيات, that's a plural form. آية ما ننسخ من آية أو ننسها أو ننسها ما ننسخ من آية أو ننسها. Okay. Who could translate? I've left it today for you lot to translate. So ما ننسخ من آية أو ننسها. What do you think? So ma is of three types. Is it a question? Is it a negation? Or is it a relative pronoun? So it is actually a relative pronoun. So whatever, ma, whatever, nansakh, we do naskh here. Whatever we abrogate, means from ayatin, ayat, from a sign, aw means or in or, yeah, not Urdu or. Or nunsi, nisyan, you know the word nisyan, to forget. Okay, nunsi, we make you forget. It, this ayah. So when we abrogate a verse or cause it to be forgotten, means we make it forgotten. We make it forgotten. Nunsi, we make it forgotten. So you forget. Some ayah Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take away from your mind. And as it was been revealed to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And sometime you will just say, no more this ayah, you just read this ayah in place. As Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was passing this message on to the people. So every so often, not a lot, but few. Some scholars say 30 ayat, some say less than that, some say 5. 5 is more like, of a minimum number that people say. Some consider it to be any ayat which has different specification of the previous ruling. They say even that is enough. So there's detail on that. But inshallah ta'ala, that's a test. Whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down, for example, and another wisdom behind this is the graduality. You do things gently. Let me just give you just one another example on that, so that becomes because that's the next wisdom. When Muslims came to Medina, they had long history of being drinking alcohol. It was quite a norm, even after being Muslim for many years. It was made haram in Medina. So the first step, when someone is that addicted or used to, not addicted in that sense, but like this is their normal drink. Not talking about the alcoholics, common simple people here in our community, those who do that every day, small, a little bit here, maybe every couple of days, weekends. You can't wean them off it unless you have a graduality there. Just ask them to do things in certain order. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, initially the first command was that they ask you, يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الْخَمْرِ وَالْمَيْسِرِ. That would come in the second juz as well. They ask you, O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, about the khamr, about the intoxicants, wal-maysir, and about the gambling. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قُلْ فِيهِمَا إِثْمٌ كَبِيرٌ وَمَنَافِعُ لِلنَّاسِ. In it, there is big sin, although there is some benefit. Benefit of selling it, making some money out of it. Benefit of drinking and getting inebriated and feel bit, out of all the troubles in and around. I mean, that's the main reason people want to get completely disconnect and dissociated from the world, for the calmness, for the agitation they have, the stress. They have it when they're stressed, or when they're and that helps obviously to fog your mind, forget about what's happening around you. Some idea that we do. That's why people do drugs, isn't it? So Allah says that those are the benefits. We're not denying that, but there's more harm in that. So a group of Sahaba never had a drink ever in their life, even before Islam. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam never had. Sayyidina Abu Bakr Siddiq never had it. Few others. But it wasn't like, it was not in their habit, as there are many teetotals in our community as well, like wider community. When they consider it to be okay, but they never had it. Their family does it, but they're not interested. There are few people like that as well. And then when this ayah came about more sin, less good, more harm than good, a good number of Sahaba stopped. And then came the ayah subsequently, some months later, that, O you who believe, when you come to prayer, do not be in the state of intoxication through the alcohol. لا تقربوا الصلاة وأنتم سكارى. When you're under the effect, don't come to prayer. What that means? I'm going to miss out the prayer. Okay, since I'm under. If we were there, if we would have drunk the way we did and stopped coming to the prayer, the Sahaba realized 99% of them stopped at that point, saying that I have to be in masjid, and I know that if I've just drunk before it, I would have a little bit of effect, so I'm not going to do that. Just left it. It was still permissible, but not before prayer, so that in the prayer you know what you're talking, what you're saying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And finally, the revelation came about, O you who believe in Namal Khamr wal Maisir wal Ansab wal Azm, Rijsum min amal shaitan. This is all impurity. Stay away. Fajtanibu. Refrain from it. Prohibition. Clear prohibition now. This is over the stages. Now, obviously, first two are abrogated. You can't say that you can now drink before all the time except for before prayer. So why that graduality? That succession or successive way of dealing with things in stages, so as to make it easy for people to abide by it, get weaned off it. There's certain wisdom behind that. One of that is this. Anyway, so Allah said, "Na'ti bi khayrin minha, aw mithliha,
أو مثلها
نأتي بخير منها أو مثلها
نأتي بخير منها أو مثلها مثلها
نأتي we come be with خير good better actually خير means better منها from it أو or مثلي similar her to it. Okay, so whenever that happens we bring something similar or better. Why similar? Obviously, there was subtle change. Similarly, not exactly the same, subtle change, which needed a little bit tweaking according to your status. Now you're slowly growing and growing. For example, when we have a patient with tuberculosis in clinic, so we give them the dose according to their body weight, and the treatment has to be for 6 months. The first 2 months, you give them four types of drugs, and with a vitamin to avert the side effect of one of the medication. And after 2 months, and even during that time, some people gain a lot of weight because the TB bacteria was eating a bit of them inside, is now being killed slowly. So they would get all what they were eating and they feel like eating as well. So the weight continues to go up. According to body weight, you have to adjust the medication. Oh, if that was my final dose, why did you not do it? It was because it was needed to do in that exactly stages. Similarly here, so the same medication may be similar, but has little change, maybe a few extra grams in there that was needed for many reasons. ألم تعلم أن الله على كل شيء قدير.
ألم تعلم أن الله على كل شيء قدير.
Do lam is any question mark. You know, when you ask a question, do, did, the auxiliary verb, helping verb that comes out to make it. May I come in? So may, am I not, am, are, you know, that's auxiliary verb. So lam, not, ta'lam, no, you know. So lam makes mudari into madi for those who have done some Arabic. So that's why the translation would be, did you not know? Did not you know? Anna means that Allah, indeed, Allah, ala, over, kulli, every, shay'in, thing, qadir, powerful, in control, competent. So alam ta'alam, don't you know? Didn't you know? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is capable of doing everything. I mean, this is something you already believe. So if Allah decides to do something, why that is a strange thing for you? Why are you questioning that? Some people say, why Allah did it? Oh, I said, it's Allah's choice. I mean, you don't need to know the wisdom behind it. This is Allah's choice, that's it. Even that is enough. You trust the individual giving you the treatment. So do you need to know why I changed that medication? Does every patient needs to know that? Do you question that? Oh, last time I had cough, doctor, you gave me that antibiotic. Why are you changing it to this one and what? Why is this form and that form? You don't need to know that. There may be wisdom, there may be no wisdom. Today there was a patient who was saying, oh, my GP changed my inhaler to this newer one, which I know is cheaper, that's why. And it doesn't agree with me. And that's why I came. I told him, no, it doesn't work like that. They both have same medication, exactly the same. It's a device problem, that might be a problem. But the GP did not change it only because it was cheaper. It was because the other one, which is way expensive, is foreign made, brand, whatever, and you can have a local made, local brand. Why not? What's the difference? It's the same medication. What is the problem? You don't trust this or that, or it's just in your mind because you've been using it for 10 years. I feel like I need that one. It's a placebo effect. Then I gave it to the elderly man. So I said, in your bed, which side do you lie down at night time? Right side. Can you go to the left? No, I've always done that. Exactly. That's habitual. But that's not a problem though. If you're made to lie on the right side and the wife on the other side, so what? No, it's just that, so you are used to that more than anything else. It's not that you need it. There's no reason behind it other than your choice. That's fine. So don't say that it is necessarily, there may be a reason. And obviously, the people do exploit their brand name and people get this placebo effect. But similarly, anyway, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decides whatever Allah decides. You just trust Allah and you don't question. Because this is not why you believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Oh, since Allah did it, I no. You believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala due to many other reasons. And you have the trust. Now that you have trust, you don't keep asking question about everything. The rest is you just follow, move on. Okay? And that's what the trial is. Have you really believed in me, O my servant? There you go, a trial. That is why many people fail when there's a trouble happening. Tough time, see, we were promised the castle of Kisra and Qaisar. Here we are, we can't even answer the call of nature. This is what happened. And they left. And the believer said, this is هَذَا مَا وَعَدَنَا اللَّهُ وَصَدَقَ اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ. We were told that we will be tested. This is the test. And the others, oh, keep having all those tests. 70 years we've been tested. What's the point? The true believers would know Allah actually said that He would test us. He's tested. He didn't say when, how. We just carry on. Whatever is our potential. So, alam ta'alam, didn't they know? Don't you know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, lahu, for Him is mulk, the kingdom of samawat, heavens, and ard, earth. He has the dominion, the kingdom of the heavens and the earth. He can decide whatever. And that's the best answer. He decides. If you do not believe that, that's a different matter. Do you believe in Allah being able to do that? Then He can do whatever. It's so funny that you have a choice. Your 5-year-old had a choice and could have choice day in, day out. They're showing their choices even at whatever age. And Allah can't have a choice. Why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created shaitan? Someone asked. Allah knew it all. So why did He? Oh, but that's His choice. You don't need to know that. Allah is the creator. He can decide. He's the king. You have a choice and He can't have a choice. You have a choice of having red topi all the time. No, Allah can't have a choice. So actually you want Allah according to your standard that suits your mind. That's a proper God, tick box. So actually you are God, He's your slave now. Who you turn on and turn off whenever you want to. Silly, isn't it? For non-Muslim, it's a different matter. Those who are not even non-Muslim, I mean those who do not believe in God, that's a different argument. For a Muslim, you shouldn't be questioning this. ألم تعلم أن الله له ملك السماوات والأرض
ألم تعلم أن الله له ملك السماوات والأرض
وما لكم من دون الله من ولي ولا نصير
وما لكم من دون الله من ولي ولا نصير
and ما لكم not. Ma, this one is not. The context would make it. Wa ma and not. La means for. Kum, you, and not for you. Min, from. Dunillah, except Allah, other than Allah. Dunillah, other than Allah. Min, from. Waliyin, wali is friend. Wa and la, no. Nasir, Nasir means the one who does the nusra. Helper, supporter. No support, no help other than Allah, no friend other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, and you have none other than Allah to protect and to help you. That's obviously meaning, implied meaning, as opposed to the word-to-word meaning. Means you do not have anyone other than Allah as a wali, as a friend, and as a nasir, as a protector. أم تريدون أن تسألوا رسولكم كما سئل موسى من قبل What does that mean? Like ow. Ow and are same, except that is appears in a question. So so or. Okay. Turiduna. Irada. What does irada means? Turiduna, arada. See the root letters are ra, wow, dal, actually ra, alif, dal, but anyway. So arada yurid. So turiduna, you do intend. Do you want? Ma turid, what do you want? Yeah. Mother turid, what do you want? So uridu, I want. So uridu, nuridu, we want. Turidu. So turiduna, what or do you want? To that tas'alu, you ask. Rasulakum. What does that mean? Rasulakum, your prophet. Or do you want to ask your prophet ka, like ma, what? Su'ila, whatever was. Su'ila, but passive form would be whatever been asked. Who? Musa. Whatever Musa was asked, min qabl, before, from before. Means, as Musa alayhi salam was asked by people, his people, all the time, different question. Can we have this? Can we do that? Why is that? And why is not that? Why can't you do it? Go you and your Lord and fight those people. We're going to do after. Are you going to do the same, O believers, to your prophet? Are you going to ask all those questions? Have you not seen what happened to them? Allah is not happy with you asking all those questions unless there's a need. So asking the question. So they ask a question about bring us all Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that's improper. Don't ask. Have you not had Musa alayhi salam in the previous time when he was asked by people to give us some revelation and Musa alayhi salam brought the revelation? And did you follow that? Did your forefather follow that? It became a source of trouble for them because they didn't want to do it. When people ask for proofs, it's actually they do not want to act on it. Many a time, when you ask me about the proof for something, it's actually deep down you know, but let him prove, I will buy some time. I'm not going to listen. I've decided I'm not going to listen to you. When you trust someone, you just trust and you follow that. Asking question with the intention to improve. So when we ask question, the idea is that can I be exempted from this action? So is it fard or sunnah? So the idea is that if it is sunnah, I'm not going to do it. And so is there any way, is there any imam, any scholar, any hadith that suggests that I can skip it? And if they say yes, I'm a follower of that one, whoever that is, I don't care. That's my answer. So we do ask those questions in order to not act. And Sahaba, they would ask questions to act more. And that is why even then they were not allowed to ask so many questions. You could ask questions, but with a good intention, with the idea to practice so that it is beneficial, not to be completely complacent and wasting time. ومن يتبدل الكفر بالإيمان فقد ضل سواء السبيل and man whoever يتبدل تبدل تبديل, you heard the word badal, change. Whoever change the kufr, disbelief, with iman, means you leave iman and get the kufr with iman. So qad, definitely, ضل, he strayed, sawa as-sabil, the right path, the true path, sawa as-sabil, the sound path. He has left that path. So what happened? Because you question Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You question the why of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a challenging way, in a way of rejecting it. As opposed to, I just want to know. As Ibrahim alayhi salam said, Rabbi arini kayfa tuhil mawta. Oh Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how do you resurrect the dead? And then he said that, Awalam tu'min, don't you believe? Oh Allah, definitely. قالوا بلى. He said, قال بلى. He said, definitely I do. ولكن ليطمئن قلبي. I just want to know so that I get this, satisfaction, the tranquility of the mind, and even more is strengthening of my heart of faith. So I know it. I just want to. So I have iman, but iman of seeing is obviously better than iman of this knowledge. So the three levels of ilmul yaqeen. Yeah. So you just wanted to get that haqqul yaqeen and aynul yaqeen, the yaqeen that you see with your eyes. And obviously that has higher level, even if you believe 100%. And that is required only 100% belief in and trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So anyway, if you have that intention to ask a question, no problem. The intention is to judge that individual, to find out why, what is his level of knowledge, to show that I know better, to show that I don't want to practice, to distract. And if you look at many questions that people ask, these are the reasons. Because they're not a true seeker of knowledge, unfortunately. And if you go to a traditional madrasa, people would ask question one or two. In whole 2, 3, 4 hour session, hardly push to find out someone who's asking question. They don't ask because they get the answer from the teacher and they keep taking notes and gradually build up on that. True seekers would get their answers as they move on because the sincerity to seek knowledge ensure Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ensures through that the teacher gives you whatever is needed. Not because teacher has got anything special, it is because if he is coming with sincerity and you are coming from with sincere high heart and mind, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the giver. He will just ensure that the right point comes to you, but whenever is needed. Sometimes you just be patient. And I learned it quite late, obviously, as a inquisitive mind, young boy is always trying to. But when you go to the majlis of ulama, you find that no one is asking questions. You feel like an ask. Obviously, this is how the people actually take it as negative. I took it very positive then. So it's amazing. If you just stay quiet in the majlis of shuyukh and ulama, it is only a matter of time. Whatever question you had in your mind, Allah would make it, gone on the tongue of your teacher, of master. Whatever is needed at the time. Rather than keep asking question every so often, because the question you ask may be answered already or will be answered and might not be good for you at this point. There has to be a stage for that. And slowly you build up to that. Just being in the company with a sincerity. But that is why the people who traditionally learn in a proper way, in the orthodox way, they find it easier to grasp everything and build up. Whereas people who are Googling here and there, it is because they just want to satisfy their inquisitive mind. That's a lust actually as well. Lust to fulfill that, I've got this bit of something pinching in my, something is just keep irritating me. I need the answer to that. In order to just get the answer. And I'm sitting there not thinking about anything else said in the majlis because my idea is not to learn, it's just to get the answer. Once I get the chance, like you see your small kids, they keep raising their hand in the majlis. You ask, what did I just say? They wouldn't know. He asked the same question we just responded a minute ago because he was thinking all of a sudden, teacher, what is the question? No question. It's just like something very unusual because they're not paying attention. Okay, so learn to do that, inshallah, that would help. May Allah give us tawfiq. We leave it there and we carry on next time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi